ever feel like you're running on fumes? You know that's not good for you and that you need to try to simplify and slow down, but you don't know where to begin. How do you stop yourself from burning out? And you may be feeling discouraged and depressed and maybe even feel like you're failing, but it's just so hard. Today we're going to talk about some of the tricks and tips that I've learned over my lifetime, and also some of the really great information that I have found as I've been researching this video. Initially, I was going to make this video just for young moms because we had a commenter who's a young mom and she's working, has a toddler, and she's trying so hard to slow down and simplify. She said she's close to burnout, and she just really thanked me because it's really nice for her to hear from an older woman and just get inspired. To hear from a sage. And you know what a sage is? That's an older woman who has a lot of life experience, is happy to share it with those who need it. I recommend that you find a sage for your life to help you and encourage you. Anyway, I was so touched by what she said. I knew I wanted to do something to help her, and making a video would help her. And then as I was putting this together, I went, oh my words, this applies to all of us. Let's pretend that you're at my house and I have a really nice selection of yummy cookies and a selection of different kinds of drinks, and we're sitting around maybe in my living room, maybe we're hanging out in my hammock that has all the beautiful trees over it. But we're having this really great discussion about these things and we're encouraging each other. The problem with video, of course, is that you can't talk back to me, but you can put comments in. And as we go through this, if you have any ideas or questions or things that you've done, put them in the comments. So this really does become more of a two-way conversation. First, we're going to talk about stress. And I recommend that you learn how stress shows up. How does your body feel? Do you get headaches? Do you get kind of shaky? Do you feel pressure in your chest? Do you start to have feelings of helplessness or wanting to escape? Maybe you even start feeling dizzy, or you start having mood changes. Think about what commonly stresses you out, the different situations, so you can identify them and you can watch out for them. Maybe you're trying to do too much. Maybe it's kids crying that stresses you out. Maybe it's the dinner hour. Maybe it's doom scrolling on social media and seeing negative things or comparing yourself to other people, which make you feel like you're failing. Maybe it's when you're tired or hungry, like that 3 o'clock rash that so many of us experience. Maybe you're experiencing unrealistic expectations put on you by other people. Identify the time of day you're most likely to feel stressed. Morning is my best time. I start feeling the most stressed during the afternoon. It's true at home, and it was true when I was working. Definitely the most true when I was working. That was the time of day I was most likely to say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing and cause problems for myself. So I had to watch out for that and learn what I needed to do, which I'm going to share. Stress often accumulates the most when you feel like you need to try to control everything. It's really easy to fall into the trap of, if I'm a good parent, my child is always going to be dressed well and clean. So I thought early on that I needed to keep my children really looking great all the time. I had to lose that. That was an unrealistic expectation, and it was better for me and the kids to lose that and to let them pick out their outfits. Yeah, it's kind of weird when they get going, and then if they have a dirty face, say, hey, you need to wash your face off. But let them make reasonable choices. And I'm not saying the choices that are going to run you ragged. I personally don't believe that parents should make multiple meals for the family. I grew up this way, my kids grew up this way, and they'll talk about it. And now my daughters insist that my grandkids are the same way. We make one meal. You can eat it or not eat it, but we're not going to make alternates for you. The next thing you just have got to do is to learn to take care of yourself. It's just like being on an airplane. You know what they teach you is, if the plane loses oxygen and the mask fall down, put the mask on yourself first before you put it on your kids. You got to take care of yourself, or ultimately you're not going to be good for anyone else. Get enough sleep. It's hard when your kids are little, like our nice commenter, she has toddlers. That is a difficult time because they can have periods where they are really sleeping well, which we celebrate, and then they have times when they're not. If they get sick and everything, all bets are off, and you just have to power through. But it does get better. That toddler problem sleep thing, or the infant sleep problem goes away. It does get better. So just know this is a season of your life and it will get better. You have to be in charge of your sleep and do the right things. You are going to need enough sleep. So here are some things that you need to do, which we all need to do. And am I perfect at these? Absolutely no. Am I working on it or thinking about it? Absolutely yes. Before you're going to bed, avoid watching or reading things that are upsetting to you, that make you worry. It's really good to read physical books. If you want to read something electronic, Kindle Whites are really good because they don't have the blue light. And so reading them is just like reading an actual paper book. But you don't want to be reading on your phone or your iPad because of the blue light, which affects your ability to sleep well. They recommend that you stop using these devices, like the phone, at least an hour before going to bed, or an hour and a half. That takes some discipline. You can do light stretches, you can do some meditation to relax yourself, get yourself focused. Write down everything that's bothering you. Just quickly do a brain dump. Write down all the things that you need to do so that you can go to bed without those things running through your mind. Make a short gratitude list because you want to try to have a positive outlook, and they have really proven that just regularly, every day, making a gratitude list, easy, 3 things. You don't have to write a lot. Kind of sets yourself in a better frame of mind. It really helps you when you've been going through a lot, like maybe there was a lot of really bad things that happened at work. Kids were freaking out, or you saw some bad things that are worrying you, or you're discouraged. Taking the time to think about what you're grateful for will help. You can also take a warm shower or a bath. If you do that, do it early enough so that it doesn't stimulate you. I have found that a warm bath will kind of calm me down. A shower will stimulate me because I use showers in the morning to wake myself up. You can use candles, or essential oils, or whatever it is that kind of calms you down. I like pillow sprays, like lavender pillow sprays, because lavender is a relaxing smell. We know exercise is really good for us. It can be as simple as a walk. It can be some light yoga, some stretches. It could be bouncing on a ball. Doing something is helpful. Of course, some of you would be just exercise fiends and you love it and it's stimulating for you. Then you go for it. Eat healthy food and avoid sugary snacks. For me, that usually happens in the afternoon. I'll tell you the only thing that has worked for me, because I'm addicted to sugar. When I was at work, I was able to keep a small mini refrigerator for myself. Some jobs I had to just bring like a cooler with this stuff. But I've had a lot of problems with my chronic illnesses, particularly when I was overcoming long COVID. We got a refrigerator for me that actually has a freezer section. It's about this tall. And I kept healthy foods in there that I enjoy, because if I was left on my own, I just really couldn't do much and I'd grab what was the easiest. So if we kept things I liked in there that were healthy for me, string cheese, I really like hummus with carrots, things like that, then I would grab those things. It really helped me a lot. And when I did that at work, I actually lost 10 pounds without even thinking about it. So you need to pre-plan and have those things around, because if you don't, and your home has a lot of chips and cookies and candy, if you're like me, you will go for that because that's easier. So whatever's easiest, the more you can avoid on-the-spot decision making in anything we're talking about, the less stressful your life is going to feel. So that's going to take pre-planning and figuring out and getting those habits, but it is totally worth it. Drink enough water because dehydration can cause headaches, fatigue, and other health issues. Eat breakfast and lunch. It's really easy to get into skipping that. It doesn't have to be something difficult. I like to make a really good steel cut oatmeal in a rice cooker. I just put it in and put my craisins or whatever, and I go off and get ready, and then that makes me 3 breakfasts. Or I'll have some toasted sourdough bread I make, and some scrambled eggs, which I'm able to make in like 5-7 minutes or something. Wear comfortable but nice clothes. This is something my mom taught me, and I've always done it even when my kids were small, because if you look sloppy, you're gonna feel sloppy, and sometimes what you're wearing is a reflection of what's going on inside of you, but it can be comfortable. So I always make my bed. First thing, I take my shower and put on my makeup. I went through like 10 years of not putting on my makeup, and I always felt a little grungy. So now I put on my makeup, whether I'm making a video or what I'm doing, just because I do it for me. My makeup routine is very simple. I don't have a lot of products. I can do it like 5 minutes or something, and I feel so much better. So my goal is always to feel good enough that I can quickly go out to the store and feel good. So this is for me. It's not for you. It's not to impress anybody else. This is for me. I feel like Mom was right. She always got up and got dressed, except for after she'd had a surgery, or at the very end of her life, maybe the last day or two, and she was on hospice and she went downhill. But she always got up and got dressed and mostly put on a little bit of lipstick, a little bit of eyebrow, a little bit of rouge with her lipstick, because it made her feel good. And so she taught me that. Go outside every day. They say 15 minutes is enough, but you need the vitamin D and it just kind of resets you, and nature will slow you down. Learn to pace yourself. This is so critical. And when I was going through long COVID and I was sick, oh gosh, for at least 14 months, my neurologist sent me to a cognitive therapist who was a speech therapist. And the number one thing we worked on was learning to pace myself. I have a habit of doing too much and then crashing. So he taught me how to pace myself, tracking myself with killer dots. If you're interested in learning that, I will make a special video about that because it's so critical and it can absolutely change your life. Just let me know if that's something you're interested in. If I hear from enough of you, then I will go ahead and make that. I learned that if I didn't pay attention to what I was seeing and I was tracking it, I would have a crash. Look out for the symptoms you have of feeling tired. And when you start to feel tired, I don't care if you're at work, I don't care if you're at home, I don't care if you're at an amusement park. When you start feeling those symptoms, take a break, because taking a 15-minute break makes a big difference. And it's really important for you to know that cognitive effort, physical effort, and emotional upset will cause your body to get tired, because your brain is part of your body. So if you're pushing your brain really hard, like you do when you have a desk job, your body will get tired. And you will crash and you will want something sugary. You'll feel discouraged. You'll start making mistakes. So when you start feeling those symptoms, take a break. I used to tell all the people that worked with me that I was kind of mentoring, when you feel that, go walk around the building. And everybody in the building would see me. I could walk around the building in 3 minutes. So I would do 3 passes. And I always feel better when I came back in. And moms, you can do that too. If you start feeling that way, set a timer, train your kids to know when mommy is in this period, you're going to do this and leave her alone for a minute because she needs it. Of course, make sure your kids are safe. If you need that discipline of setting a timer so you can get that break and get yourself back together, do it. Do it. You need it. And then just know that you will have physical shutdowns, like when you get ill or when too much is going on. You're getting too much pressure. You will feel yourself kind of shut down. Prepare for it. Know what you're going to do if that happens to you. Have a plan. What kind of activities can you do? Will you just kind of rest and relax? Will you read books? My cognitive therapist actually taught me to get cards like Uno cards. Just sit and sort them by colors because it will slow down your brain. You want to do things let your brain relax, let your body relax, and you will get past that shutdown faster. Okay, let's go on to taking care of your mental health. Take breaks to decompress. Get support. Find women in your same situation to talk to. But look out for positive people. You don't want these people that whine and complain about everything. They just bring everybody down. If you're saying, oh, this good thing happens to me, they have to complain about it. Or you're sharing a difficult time that you're going through, and they have to tell you a story which kind of undermines your experience. Just don't look out for those. We want to share our honest experiences, but we don't want to really hang out with people who drag us down. Find a therapist if you need one and you can afford one. I have no shame in telling you I have worked with a lot of therapists through my life depending on the situation. One time I had some major depression. I needed help to get through that. I've had some really challenging times with my kids. I needed support with that. I've had some really bad situations at work. I had to have support through that. Last time I went to my therapist, it was the few weeks before my mother was passing away. She was really sick. She was failing. We had her in hospice, and I was dealing with conflicting feelings feelings about that. And I just needed to talk to somebody, and he was really helpful. If I get into a situation where I need help, I will go. So get yourself that kind of help. And no, this is not a commercial for any company. You find your own therapist. Try to build positive thought processes. One of the most important things I had to do when I was going through major depression is to learn to change my thinking. I had to get medical attention, and I took antidepressants. I got therapy, but I discovered Louise Hay and her kind of changing your mindset things, affirmations. And I also worked with somebody, she was a life coach, that taught me some things that I could say to myself that changed my thinking. And it was critical. I learned those skills, and it has helped me all my life. So here's an example. Say you're going through a really hard time. You can say to yourself, I've been through bad things before. I've been through hard things before, so I can get through this too. Boy, that is a powerful thought. Get so you train yourself instead of that real helpful. It's like, oh, this is too hard. I can't do it. That will make you feel like you can't do it. But instead, you start feeling those feelings because we've already discussed you being able to identify the physical feelings that are coming on to say to yourself, yeah, this is hard, but I've been through hard times before and I can get through this. Another thing I learned to do, particularly when you're going through these stages, like when your kids are really little, 5 years, they will have completely moved on to something else. So 5 years is the number that I picked. You could use 2 years, 3 years. I say to myself, in 5 years, I'm going to be 5 years older, and this will all be over. Until you get used to it, you might go 5 years. But 5 years goes really fast, and it is true. Your life will have changed in 5 years. You will be amazed, and you will be amazed at how quickly that passes. And it does give me real hope for the future. Cut yourself some slack. You can't do everything. You can't do many things perfectly. This is not the time. I don't think any time's the time, unless you're trying to play some piece of music or deliver some lines or something, to be perfect. You just can't be perfect. I'll tell you how I handled that when I was working. Maybe I'd make some kind of mistake. Instead of trying to hide it, I would just say quickly to my boss or whoever, oh gosh, I shouldn't have done that. Well, I've learned that mistake. I'm not going to do it again. And boy, that just deflated the problem. You need to give yourself that same slack about the learning process, because that's what this life is about. You're learning. You're not going to be perfect in anything, almost nothing. So just don't expect it. Stop trying to please other people, because you generally won't be able to. People just tend to not look for and comment on the good things that you do. It's a sad commentary on our society. For instance, if you're at work and you're working really hard and you do a good job, it's not that often that you'll have a boss who will say, oh, well done. Look at what you've done. I do that for other people because I was a teacher, and teachers learn to do that. So they encourage their students. But generally, the most people are not in the habit of doing that. They expect that and paying you that money, or you're raising your kids and everybody expects you to do a great job with your kids. Your spouse expects you to treat them a certain way. But if you get in the habit of looking for the good things and be thankful and telling them what they've done right. My husband's really good about doing that for me. Do that for yourself and do that for other people, but don't live your life on trying to please other people. It's very difficult. I shared before that one of the things I've had to learn, and I'm still learning about being on YouTube, is that I can't please everybody. I just can't. And some people are going to come along and watch a video. They may watch this video and go, whoa, that's not for me, and they unsubscribe. That's okay. Other people come along and go, wow, this just resonates with me. I want to follow Roseanne. And so they'll subscribe. Maybe you'll subscribe because you see that's related. But that's just the way it is. It's really good either way. And the more you learn that about your life, the better it is. Don't try to keep up with everybody else. You know, it's that keeping up with the Joneses thing. We used to laugh about that when I was a kid and growing up, because I don't know many people that ever tried to do that. I don't know. Maybe super rich people did it, but the people in my life didn't do it. Social media has really caused that to happen. So yeah, just don't try it. And those people that you're admiring, that you want to be like, maybe so wrong. I see so many people that I feel on social media who are advocating really bad, negative things that will ultimately hurt them, and then they get a lot of attention, a lot of likes, a lot of comments, then other people jump on that bandwagon, then before you know it becomes this echo chamber, and people actually change their behavior to be doing the wrong things. I think I've said that before, haven't I? Make time to laugh, enjoy things, be amused by things, by good things. I don't think you should be laughing at other people. There are plenty of things to laugh at. If you want to see something really funny, find Newhart's show. It's free on Amazon Prime. Get yourself through the first couple of seasons, and then you'll run into some funny, hysterical characters, although there's plenty of laughs in the first couple of seasons. Find things like that will just make you belly laugh. Make a list of things you used to like to do, so that you'll have a list of things that you can do to do things that you like, because it's really good for your mental health. Schedule self-care appointments and keep them as if they were a doctor's appointment. You have to plan for that and not just let it happen, because I'll tell you what, you will always be busy. Life will always be happening. You are rarely going to just stumble on some time to take care of yourself. So you got to plan it. You got to plan it. Then you'll be able to plan more interesting things. So take enough time to do things. Slow down, walk slower, work slower, concentrate on what you're doing. Sit and eat without scrolling the phone. Look around, look at your food, enjoy the food. That's really good for your mental health, to concentrate. And to me, slowing down is not moving to the country. It's not thinking I have to make all my clothing by hand. To me, slowing down is becoming more thoughtful about what I'm doing, noticing what I'm doing, noticing the joyful things around me, making time for doing things that are important, that feel good, that feed my soul, by dropping off things that really aren't important, that are just busy things. Set boundaries, scale back on commitments, and learn to say no. Spend fun times with your loved ones. If you are married, have a spouse, make an appointment. We have Friday night, and all the kids, all the grandkids know Friday night's mom and dad's night. We go out. It's really good for our marriage. We really enjoy the time out. I take my grandkids here and there with me, and that is really fun for me, and it's really fun for them. Let's move on to taking care of responsibilities and your environment. We can't talk about managing stress if we don't talk about those things. I know this is getting long, but this has so much important information, and if I cut it down, I might be cutting out the very thing that will help you, and I don't want to do that. So moms, fewer toys. Fewer toys. I feel really strongly about this, and I made such a mistake with this with my younger two kids. With my older two kids, I didn't buy too many. I couldn't afford it. They got a reasonable amount of toys they got at Christmas, or basic toys that encouraged, play and actually encouraged them to go out and do things for themselves, and a little bit at their birthday. I didn't buy toys in between. I just didn't. When I had my younger two, I had more money and I bought them more. I bought them too much. And then all we had was a lot of mess to clean up, and all those Barbie clothes, Barbie shoes all over, and just blow up and everything. And then I accidentally trained my daughter to think that's the way Christmas should be, and so now she has the same problems with her kids. And here's the thing with toys. You'll buy these kids these toys, and they might play with it once, and then they'll never come back to it again, especially if they have too many toys. It's overwhelming to them. And even with the toys, all those toys, they'll end up doing other stuff, and you'll just have a mess. That goes all over the room, all over the house. I just don't take my grandkids to the toy aisle. They don't think I'm going to buy them anything. The only time toys are bought is when my 6-year-old granddaughter has some money she's earned in some way. She asks me to take her down to the dollar store. And boy, it's a big event. She takes a great amount of time carefully picking out what she buys, and then she loves what she buys. Versus if I just took her in there every time and said, pick something out, she wouldn't enjoy it as much. But decluttering is generally good. Really watch out for when they've outgrown things and just reduce that load. It will save you a lot of money too. Oh my gosh. And then adults. Too many toys. We have too many toys and things we have to take care of. With me, that's projects and craft and art supplies and sewing things and stuff. And I get all enthused and I buy this thing and I think I'm going to do this thing. Then I have all these supplies and I don't do them and they're just sitting around taking room. And I'm going to declutter that stuff and get down to the toys that I'll actually use. And the same thing with books. Sometimes I buy books and I intend to read them and then I don't read them. If I'm not ever going to read them, I need to declutter them. But just the thought of decluttering them this year has made me back into a reader because I'm like, I don't want to declutter that book. I need to read it. And so I'm doing more reading. So books are my toys. So we all need to cut down our toys and just declutter in general. The less things you have, the less problem you have taking care of it. But as I've said so many times, I'm not a minimalist. I don't think I ever will be. But I am trying to reduce my load because I have overbought and I have too much stuff. And so I'm decluttering. But when we're talking about clutter, the best way to fake your house being clean is not to have clutter on the flat surfaces. If you do that, people come into your house and they go, oh, your house is so clean. It happens to me all the time. When I'll know, gosh, I haven't cleaned my floor for weeks or even months. If I've had a time where I'm really sick and my family's not willing to clean the floor. But I found, guess what? I can clean that floor up just as fast after a couple months of it being dirty as I could originally. It takes the same amount of effort. Same thing's true with dusting, by the way. It takes just as much effort to dust one day after one day as it does to dust after weeks. There are going to be people who are horrified by that. You should clean everything all the time, but we're talking about reducing stress. Having these too high of standards and being a perfectionist will stress you out. Reduce your standards. Reduce your standards, particularly when you've got a bunch of kids. Now, when you get older and if you are an empty nester, then you won't have to clean things as much and you can kind of go at a slower pace. Very often you can downsize, which, oh, that would be a wonderful thing to get to do. We probably will never get to because of our circumstances. But then you have less to clean and smaller to clean and you can keep up with it. So this other time of your life is past. When you're in the thick of it, lower your standards. I'm not my mom and she's not me, but guess what? She taught me to clean and she had me clean. And if you have children, teach them to clean. You can even get your toddler to take their dishes and put them in the dishwasher and they think it's a blast. And then you start building those skills because you need them to help you. And it's really good for them to learn to help you. You don't want your kids to get like my roommates. We had 5 of us living in an apartment. I was the only one who knew how to take care of myself, to do my laundry, to clean the bathroom, clean the kitchen, all those things because my mother had trained me to do it. She worked me, but that was the expectation of our community and our little culture. My grandmother did it and some of my friends' mothers didn't do that for them and I always feel kind of sorry for them. My mother had me start doing dishes when I was 5 or 6. She always worked along with me as I was learning and it was just older when it became part of what I was able to do and I was able to do it quickly and well. Then it just became one of my chores. She made the meals, I cooked, I baked, and I did the dusting and I vacuumed the floor and I cleaned the bathroom every week. So do yourself a favor, train your kids to help you. But it can be hard. It can be hard. I was one that was more into, I'm going to train my kids, and my husband was more into, oh, if they complained, I'll just do it for them. So that was at odds, as you can imagine. So it took me a lot of mental effort to get those kids to do chores, but we hung on through high school and I have a little bit harder time getting the adults to do chores for me now. Although they do take care of themselves and they do their own laundry. I had them start doing laundry when they were 9 or 10, and so they've always had the expectations that they would do their own laundry. My 13-year-old granddaughter does her own laundry. The 6-year-old looks forward to the time when she can do her own laundry. Everybody in the household needs to pitch in. So there's my thoughts about that. Automate everything you can. Do grocery pickup or grocery delivery. Have your bills set up on auto pay, and it's far less stressful for you, and it is also responsible. You can do things like subscribe and save from Amazon. You can save money with Amazon, the same kind of prices that you'd pay locally, and have them shipped to you like every month or every 2 months, every 3 months, depending on what you're getting. And that's one more thing that you don't have to think about. So anytime you can kind of systemize things and make it easier, it's good for you. And talking about systemizing things, you can really help yourself out with the meal planning. If you do what my sister-in-law did, which I wish I would have done, she put herself on a 6-day menu where on Mondays they had this, on Tuesdays they had this, Thursday they had this, Friday. She did that all the time when her kids were being raised and things were really crazy. I don't know if she's doing it now. And that made it easier for the meal planning planning. She never had the moment of, what am I making? Which can be stressful. It made it easy for grocery shopping. They had certain kind of snacks that they bought, certain kind of breakfast they always got, and she just didn't have that worry. I think 1 week isn't enough for me, but 2 weeks, I'm going to try a 2 weeks because I really do have stressful moments about what I can make, to the point that I don't cook enough, and my husband ends up cooking, and he'll say, what should I make? There I am with that same miserable decision. The meals don't have to be complicated either. They can be healthy without being complicated. But if you're going through a lot and stressed or having trouble with your health or something, do that. And another thing I'd recommend is paper plates, because I'm really big into, you need to not have your dishes stacked up. My mom taught me that. Her mom taught me that. It's what I learned to do. And you can make doing the dishes a social event where the kids are helping you. We're all doing it together right after we eat. It gets done really, really quickly. Everybody learns to do it really, really quickly. And you never have that big stressor of your kitchen looking like it's blown up. Particularly if you are cleaning as you go, as you cook. You get out a spice, you put it away. You make a mess on the counter, you wipe it up. So by the time you eat, all you have to do is dinner dishes. Now, the reason I say paper plates, and I know there are people who will hate the idea of paper plates, but when I was going through some really intense times with the 4 kids, I was teaching school and come home and I was tired, it was enough to make dinner, the whole dishwashing thing. So we had these little baskets, and we then used the cheapest paper plates imaginable. Sometimes we used the silverware, but mostly it was just the paper plates. We'd get a big stack of them, and we'd go through it, and then like on Sunday dinner, when things were calmer, we'd use regular dishware. So you can think about this. If you're too stressed, just the thought of all of it is too bad. You go to the fast food to get some fast food, which is getting more and more expensive. You are going to come home with a lot of paper things for the food. So you are using a lot of paper products. Having some paper plates, how is that worse? And if you don't like your paper plates, that's fine. Don't use them. So I've gone through times where we've used paper plates when things were crazy with my kids. When I was starting that business and I was working 12, 16 hours a day, and my husband was working 2 jobs to help us pay the bills. Those were paper plates times. So just think about that. Look at ways that you can make easier for yourself. Get tools that make things easier for you, like Rollovax. I have a steam cleaner that cleans my tile on my laminate floor. It's Abyssal. It has revolutionized and rocked my life because my floor can get really dirty, and that thing will clean it up really fast, and it's so less physically demanding. My floor is cleaner. So even like getting a duster with a long enough handle that it can get all of the top surfaces and the low surfaces. I don't have to bend down to dust at the bottom of my banisters, and it's just much easier. Look for things like that that can make it less stressful, less physically demanding. Give yourself a break. Develop a flexible cleaning routine for yourself. Now, I keep talking about how everything doesn't have to be cleaned as often as you think. Well, I have a flexible cleaning routine that is built on like an every other week, and then it gives you ideas of when you could do things monthly and quarterly. It's really low key. And what I have done is I put it in a Google Doc, which I am going to link to in the description, and you can go out and see it. You download it, you can print it. If you do a save of the file, then you can save it to your own Google Drive, and you can edit it and make it your own. So I'm not going to go over that. You can look at it and you can read it and use it as a starting point, because our goal here is to help you out, to make things easier for you. All of you that have good ideas, that different things that work for you, please, please, please put it in the comment, because I'd love it if this video becomes a really good resource of ways we can just de-stress and enjoy our life more. Google knows you much better than I do, and it feels that you will enjoy this video. Bye.